yeah, Costa Rica taught me a lot about respecting the environment and appreciating also the nature.
Welcome to The Executives, the show where we navigate in the intricate world of executive leadership, exploring strategies, insights, and personal stories of successful professionals shaping the global business landscape. I'm your host, Majid, and today we have a special guest with us, Charlene, a travel product management who is currently working as a travel experience manager at Tourlane. Hello, Charlene, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Majid. Thank you very much.
So, before we jump into our topic, would you kindly introduce yourself, your experience, a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, of course. And like first, thank you for the invitation. Also, I'm super happy to be here, and yeah, I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun. So yeah, just like to give a bit of context. I will try to explain my journey up to this point. So I grew up and I studied tourism in France. And then I had the opportunity to do a university exchange in Lima, in Peru. And yeah, at this time I also enjoyed to travel a bit there and a bit in Bolivia, and I loved it. But then I was not ready to go back in France. So I also wanted to gain some work experience before completing my studies. So I spent a gap year in a travel agency in Costa Rica, where I was helping with bookings. And then there something fantastic happened. The owner of the company offered me the chance to help to set up a new travel agency in Colombia. So of course I said yes. And yeah, some days after my final exam, I flew to Medellin in Colombia and started to work very hard. And my job was to make sure the new travel agency followed all the rules and was legally good to go. So yeah, once that was done, I focused on handling logistics when we got
Mhm.
our first customers. And yeah, that was for Colombia. Then I moved to Germany, where I joined a tour operator, like you know it well, Majid. It's Ventura Travel. So there I worked as a salesperson, and I managed trip for the French-speaking tourists who wanted to go in South America. So yeah, it was very good experience, and I could learn a lot. But last year, I decided that it was time for me to pick up again my backpack and to embark on a new adventure for 8 months in Brazil. So there, I could deep dive in the culture, in the nature, cities, yeah, and I also could learn some Portuguese along the way. And I came back some month ago in Berlin, and now I started a new position as a travel product manager. So as you say in Tourlane. So yeah, here I am now.
Awesome. Brazil is famous for a lot of things like food and their carnival. So, how was your? Have you attended the carnival?
Yes, I did like different carnivals. I did like the carnival, like there are three main carnivals in Brazil.
Mm,
The famous one is Rio de Janeiro. It's
mm,
like the one who's known everywhere.
mm,
And then there are two more. There are
mm.
Salvador and Olinda. And I could have a bit of all of them. Like I
Oh,
did
nice.
mostly the one in Salvador. This was amazing. Like it's mostly they are like very famous singer in
Mm,
trucks. They are singing in the top of the truck, and then like everyone is in the street following them. And yeah, it's a big show for several days.
Brazil is on my list, because um, this dessert brigadeiro.
Oui.
It's so like it's a tiny little chocolatey ball, but it's
Yeah.
so addictive. You like wow, you can just like
Do
eat.
you know? Do you know how to cook them?
Yeah. I do. I made it once or twice. It's not hard, but
Yeah,
if you overcook it for like 5, 10 seconds more, it's done. Then it
yeah,
becomes liquidy.
yeah. It's very technical.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to just be there and stirring all the time. So that's why brigadeiro. It's one of my favorite desserts. Like it's you can just keep eating that.
Nice, nice. Now in Brazil, you will taste a lot of food.
Good
Like,
food. Yeah,
and any region has different specialties. So yeah,
I can imagine. I can imagine.
yeah,
Cool. It's I'm very excited for today's call because today our topic of discussion will be global bridges from
yeah,
Brazil's heartbeat to Europe's tourist trails and the classrooms beyond. It's a very interesting topic. We'll cover things that you mentioned in your experience because that's the whole goal that we want to explore more about your experience of traveling to Brazil, working in the travel industry, and so on. So let's jump right into the question. And before I say, when I was writing the questions, and I used to think the city it's called Rennes, not Rene. I used to think it's Rene because I with an E,
yeah.
but
This
it's
is this is French. Like mostly we don't pronounce the end of the word, and sometimes not the beginning either. um, yeah, just like I am from the south of France. It's called Pau, but it's written Pau, so nothing to. Yeah, it's
okay.
French. Yeah, you don't read it as you speak it. Um, and Rennes, yeah,
Rennes.
I was studying there in Rennes.
So Rennes, France is quite distinct from the various global locations you have worked in. Can you pinpoint a moment or experience in your early life that actually ignited your passion for travel and cross-cultural experiences?
Yeah, yeah. So sure. I think it might have been during my first trip overseas. Was only 10 years old, and my parents decided to take us, my brother, and me to Marrakesh in Morocco
Mm-hmm.
during the summer break. And yeah, normally during the summer break, we used to go to the sea, and I'm a bit ashamed to admit it, but at first, both my brother and I were a bit disappointed to not go to the sea, but to go in Marrakesh. Well, like there are a lot of sand, but there is no sea. Yeah, clearly we were too young to understand all the chance we had, like the privilege we had to have this kind of experience. But well, then yeah, something incredible happened during that trip. Like I just loved it. It was amazing. I love to go through the narrow street of the souk, experiencing the culture, the kindness of the people. And yeah, I can remember some friends of my parents prepared tagine for us
Oh,
at home. Yeah. So yeah, we sat on the pillow and the carpet, and there were no knives, no plates, and it was super fascinating. Yeah, I was only 10 years old, and I came from the countryside in France, so it was something totally new to discover, totally new custom. And yeah, our friend, like, they can be show us how to eat with the bread, and yeah, it feels very different and so exciting at the same time. So yeah, this was new and fascinating word for me. And when I had to go back home, I was so sad. I cried on the plane.
oh,
But yeah, I think like at the end, this is the moment where I really promised to myself that when I grew up, I would travel as much as I could. Yeah.
nice. That's nice. Morocco is a good place. It's on my to visit.
Yeah,
And from Germany, it's not super expensive to fly there. It's super, super cheap, I think. And a
yeah,
direct flight goes.
yeah. It is like,
Mhm.
and in fact, I just went back once, just maybe 1 or 2 years after it. But I really, really want to like to see it again, like 15 years after. Like, how would I feel again? It would be amazing. And like also
Nice.
to discover other part because I only went in Marrakesh, but yeah, I think you can experience a lot in Morocco.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. Wow. Now I want tagine because tagine it's you can find it in Berlin. There's a very good restaurant in Neukölln, but you have to reserve a table at least like a week or two before because they are so full always.
Ah,
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
the name
there's
of the?
I have to check, but
Okay,
I can share it with you afterwards.
yeah,
It's
please.
it's very famous and it's always full, like always full. And they
Okay.
give you a table for a certain time that you have to eat food within this time because they are so packed that they don't
Yeah.
have time. They're like, hey, come eat, go, come eat, go. And the problem is with the culture of Middle East and Africa is more like you sit, you talk, you keep
Yeah,
eating,
yeah,
drinking tea,
take your time. Yeah,
take your time. But here in the restaurant, it's different because they are so busy, and I completely understand that as well. But that's
yeah.
interesting.
You might book two tables, one after the
Oh
other.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Or ask them, hey, give us one table for two times.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. But interesting. So now let's go more towards the Latin American footprint. So Costa Rica and Colombia are renowned for their rich cultural and biodiversity. How did working in these countries influence your understanding of sustainable tourism and the importance of local experiences?
Okay, yeah, this is very wide question. So, first Costa Rica. So, yeah, Costa Rica taught me a lot about respecting the environment and appreciating also the nature. I truly recommend this country for all nature lovers. It's very small country, but it's home of nearly 6% of all the world's biodiversity. So it's just huge.
Mm,
And what's also very impressive about Costa Rica is that they care a lot about the nature. It's like they are the leader in what we call sustainable ecotourism. So yeah, it means like they are inviting responsible traveler to explore their incredible nature without at least trying not to cause any damage on it.
mm,
And they have set aside about 1/4 of the land as national park, so they can preserve different ecosystems.
okay.
So yeah, like they are like on the top of the eco responsibility.
Mm,
And whether if you're into with life watching or exciting adventure in stunning landscape, I can totally recommend you to go in Costa Rica.
mm.
Yeah, so
How is the weather? The weather is nice there, right?
yeah, like they have like it's a tropical country, so it's raining a
Okay.
lot also. Like it's very green. They have the rainy season where you can have a lot of rain. Like if you go on the Caribbean part, it can rain for days during the whole day. So
Hmm.
yeah, but then that's why also it's so green. That's why you have so many animals. So yeah, just like take a rain jacket and go there.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's very like a country. It's not made for any kind of tourist, but more kind of adventure people who really love the nature and they don't care. Like, yeah, you can be wet, it
Hmm.
can rain, but
Hmm.
what you will see, like, you cannot see it anywhere else. So,
Hmm. Yep. You mentioned now sustainable tourism because this is something we actually, as people, need to respect for countries where we go to. And I would like, if I'm from Pakistan, right? So I would like when people come visit my country or my hometown, they should not make it a mess. That So can you
Yeah,
share with us more about this sustainable tourism? Because I don't think everyone is aware of this concept. In travel, it's very normal that
yeah,
we have this word, but for people who are not from travel, this is something, okay, sustainable tourism is exactly what? So how
yeah.
would you explain it to someone who is not from the industry?
Yes, it's trying not to have any negative impact on the ecology. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, the case of Costa Rica, they have national park. It means there are areas where you cannot build any building. Like
Okay.
it's totally preserved for the animals, for the nature. We keep the
Mm-hmm.
nature as it is. Like they can make some paths so the tourists can go there and explore, but like no building.
No building.
Yeah. Also, like I think like our job is very important. Also, like in we talk about educating the tourist.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also our role to say to the tourist like, hey, respect the environment there. Like I don't know, go with your own bottle and just fill in the water. Don't buy like plastic there. Don't throw plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like behave and just be respectful of the environment. Just try
Mm-hmm.
not to have a big impact. There are some destination, for example, when it's very remote, they don't have a good system to manage all the wastes.
Mm-hmm.
So we ask the tourists, for example, to take back their waste.
Okay.
Like all you're consuming, all the plastic you're consuming, please bring it back because there the system is not made to yeah to recycle it. So please, like we don't want any impacts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think like yeah, tourism we can have a lot of negative impact.
Mm,
And this
true.
is important to be responsible. Otherwise, we will not be able to continue traveling around the world.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
because we need to respect the culture as well. Which
yeah,
brings to the second part of local experiences. For me, tourism is not visiting the five monuments of a city or the
yeah.
country. For me, tourism is about experiencing the culture.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? How does that play a role towards tourism? Do you think local experiences are important, and are they easier to sell as compared to, like, hey, we can show you Eiffel Tower in Paris? I mean, anyone can see Eiffel Tower.
Yeah,
It's not something everyone knows about it. So, what do you think is the role of local experience in tourism?
yeah. First, I think like it's something very new. Like not very new, but like people are more and more willing to get to know the culture, not only like the just to take the picture of the monument and
Hmm.
this like everyone can have. And now like with internet, you can find the picture of all the monuments. So like to
Hmm.
see, like of course it's not the same to see on the computer or to see it in real, but then there is not a lot of more like you will not experience way more.
Hmm.
One kind of the tourism that is like well developed is going to is increasing. It's what we call a community based tourism.
Hmm.
So this kind of tourism it's also a responsible kind of tourism. It involves local communities.
Hmm.
So yeah, that means that um, let me try to explain.
No, all good. Yes.
Yeah, like with this kind of tourism, we are trying to make a good impact on the local communities as well.
Hmm.
Like the two, like it's a win-win situation because at the end the tourists can have very authentic experiences with local people to learn really about the culture the custom to have like
Hmm.
not to like to see a show who was made for tourists and then like you just like a spectator and you pay for something that's not true. We don't want that anymore, like, and I think the tourists also don't want it. They are getting more and more aware. Then yeah, this kind of tourism, it's like the direct contact of the tourist and the
Mm-hmm.
locals. And the locals, they are not showing something the tourist is not, like, they're not acting differently that they will do in their daily life. It's really to invite the tourist in their daily life.
Mm-hmm. I see. That
Um,
would be cool.
yeah, and most of the time also those kind of experiences, it has other goals. It
Mm-hmm.
has also, like, most of the time, ecological goals. So they don't do it only to have like some resources. They do it also like for like specific goals. um yeah, maybe I can I can
Mm-hmm.
like explain you one of the project I love the most. I could have in Colombia, so you have a better idea, I think. It's better than to be too um, not concrete, like. So yeah, one of my favorite project was in Buenaventura. It's close to Cali in Colombia, and this is a project that's owned by Afro descendant community.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there the community is super involved into ecotourism. They want to protect, it's a very stunning crystal blue river. It's amazing, like, I never saw a river like that. Yeah, it's just amazing, and it's not famous. It's incredible. But the problem there is that the local authorities are menacing, like they are treating
Mm, okay.
to what, sorry,
No,
to,
no, okay.
to they want to establish a landfill there, like where you can place the waste. And like,
Oh.
yeah, yeah, so of course it will destroy the entire ecosystem. So yeah, the goal of this community is first to make this place known,
Mm-hmm.
then to raise some ecological awareness, and also like to get some fund to finance the project and to make it cancelled,
Mm-hmm.
like to finance like this their struggle, and the struggle aim to have this project cancelled. So the experience there is just like amazing. You walk in the river, like
Mm-hmm.
really into the river. Sometimes you can have the water until the shoulder, but yeah, most of the time you like it's not so deep. And at the same time that you're walking, the locals educate you on all the ecosystem. They show you the plants, the animals, the yeah, a lot of birds,
Mm-hmm.
and all the resources you're paying to be part of this experience. They are directly going to this community, and they are directly reinvested in the river protection
Oh, that's
project.
cool. That's
Yeah.
very nice. Yeah, that's really, really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is like, I think, the future also of tourism. Like, in the past, tourism had so many negative impact in ecology, like even in the local population, trying like to change the culture or trying them to act just to be pleasant to the tourists, to make them act how they are supposed to act, to yeah, for the tourists to take picture of, like,
Mm-hmm.
this is crazy. So yeah, we are aiming, I hope, like, to a more responsible tourism where everyone can win of this.
Mm-hmm. I see. Now, this itself is such a big topic that we can talk about it for hours.
Yeah,
There's so much information and so much fun stuff in it. But let's move towards our second topic because you're based in Berlin,
yeah,
and I've seen Berlin attracts travelers, professionals across the globe. I don't even remember how many nationalities I have met. I have met people from China, Japan, Indonesia, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, Cambodia, uh, Colombia, Argentina, Bolivia. It's a very long list that I've seen in Berlin, and I feel that it's a very sort of diverse clientele that exists in Berlin with a diversity of people. How do you utilize your global experiences that you have gained in multiple countries towards catering such a diverse clientele at, for example, Ventura Travel or Tourlane?
Yeah. Well, in fact, like I don't know if by clientele you mean yeah my clients.
Clients, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I'm working like in online. I'm always working in online agencies. So, like my clientele, they have always been French speaking market. Like,
Okay.
yeah, it's very specific niche. They are mostly French, Swiss, or Belgians. But I like being in Berlin. I definitely I'm working with a lot of international people, a lot from Latin America because in Ventura we were like very specialized in Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
So most of our colleagues were from countries from South America, but also like from other people from all over the world. Yeah, as you say, like so many countries, like we cannot even remember all kind of country we have been in touch. Um, but yeah, if like my clientele, they are all speaking French. But like with my suppliers, I have a lot of suppliers from like yeah, all my suppliers in fact are from Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there I can use my different languages. With most of them, we speak in Spanish, and at work with my colleagues, we speak in English because it's the common language. But
Mm-hmm.
I think like the international, the fact that Berlin is so international is more impacting in my private life because yeah, my friends they're from all over the world, and yeah, like I think I would not have so different and like interesting friends if I would have stayed in France. I think.
I see. I see. So, okay, cool. Interesting. So, in your introduction, you mentioned to us that you took like a career break
Yeah.
towards traveling towards Brazil. And it does sound fascinating. I always wanted to do that, but I've never had done it. So, what was the reason that you took this career break and flew all the way? It's not like from Germany to France; it's a 2 hour flight or a 3 hour flight, but it's a much longer flight. And what motivated the decision? And would love to learn more about that experience. How was the experience? Like,
Okay. So first, my motivation. I really wanted a break from Berlin. Berlin is amazing, as we just say, it's international, but like a lot of information all the time. And also like the winter is a bit difficult. So yeah, I really didn't want to pass the last winter in Berlin. And also like Brazil was on my list for a long time, and because of my love for Colombia, a lot of people recommended me to travel in Brazil because Brazil has a lot of similarities with Colombia in terms of landscape, nature. Like people are super welcoming, and yeah, the country has so many different experiences to offer, and also because I wanted to. Yeah, I was traveling alone, so I really wanted a place where I would feel safe to travel, like, and yeah, I would feel like um, easy for me to travel alone, and yeah, Brazil was like a good match for me.
okay.
Yeah, and also like because it's been a while, so I wanted to learn Portuguese because I really love Brazilian music, and for a long time I really wanted to understand what they are saying in the lyrics. So yeah, at the end I decided, okay, just let's go. I didn't want to go just for 1 or 2 weeks because it would be like too less. Like Brazil is it's huge. It's like a continent.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's why I decided to take a break and to go there.
I,
Um,
mhm. So that's a good reason for me to learn Japanese and Korean, because that's what I listen to a lot, like K-pop and Japanese pop.
uh-huh.
So I don't understand what they say. I mean, the lyrics are on with English. I understand what they're saying, but in Japanese and Korean, I don't speak the language.
Okay.
Like it's my level of Japanese is the same like French, like only saying thank you, hello. That's
This
all.
is something. This is a start. But like,
Exact.
would you like to learn it? I think like when you like the culture and the music, it's easier because you have a lot of support to practice.
I mean, I really admire Japanese culture, and like it's really an interesting culture, and it's very much aligned with Pakistani culture. So
Yeah.
it's not very different. So it's not something completely opposite, but it's also something I really, really adore. Like the way they do things, the way they are like the quality and how they. For example, I remember when I was in Thailand, the first time I didn't know that you shouldn't take your shoes inside the office also, because
Okay.
I never, like, I was used to growing up and we always had shoes in our office, so I
Ah,
did that, and I remember when I walked in and everyone was looking at me, and then they told me, hey, take the shoes outside. And I apologized to them that I'm sorry, I didn't know. But
yeah,
it's something that's very interesting that they say keep the shoes outside. And
yeah.
then when I asked why do you keep the shoes outside, I mean, what's the reason? And then one of the logics that came to me was, they like, the dirt needs to stay outside, the house is supposed to be clean, so
Ah,
that's why they never wear shoes inside, because you never know what did you walk on outside
yeah,
on the street.
yeah.
So
It's
that's why. And I like the logic, when you think about it. I would not
yeah,
like that someone who walked over something on the street is walking in my home with the shoe.
yeah. No,
So
it's
because
true.
home is something very personal, so, and it's a nice logic for
Yeah,
me as well.
this is
So
yeah. Sorry.
no, you want to say something?
No, no, this is what's amazing also about traveling and get to know other culture. Like, yeah, you have your own logic and you think like you know some stuff, and then you meet other culture and you realize like, yeah, like I should start doing it also. Like this makes so much sense. Like, yeah,
And I have also seen, like, for example, uh, sometimes one thing in one culture are really, really good. If
yeah,
you do that in another culture, it's very rude, like
yeah.
very rude. Like I remember when I was talking with someone from Japan. He was a very elderly man, but his manager was young. So he told him, like, directly, like how we give feedback, hey, this was not something correct. And the guy actually didn't like it, but he didn't say anything, but just like kept his like voice low and said, okay. And then he came to me and said, Majid, this was not good, because he needs to at least respect me for my age. I was like, yes, but he also has to report back to his seniors there that there was a problem. So I understand both of you, but at the same time, I would say you also try to understand him.
Yeah,
So it's the cultural understanding is really, really important,
yeah,
especially, and if you love traveling, or if you want to travel a lot to other countries, it's something you should make sure that you do a little bit of due diligence.
yeah, yeah. This is true. Like, and even professionally, also it like, makes a lot of differences. Like, I remember, for example, in when I was working in Costa Rica or Colombia, when I needed to call some supplier or anything, I could not directly ask my question or do my requests. I
Mhm.
first needed to have a small talk to know if everything was going well. And then when like we had this small talk, I could ask it. Then I arrived in Germany, and like my only working experience were in Latin America. So I was used to do it, to ask first like to people, how are you doing? How was your weekend? How was your week? What are you doing to plan after then? And yeah, I remember like in Ventura, they told me like, stop it. Like, what's your question? What do you want from me? Like, don't make me waste my time. And I was like, oh, okay. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mm.
but it's
And
good also to adapt
mm.
to each.
And true, that's very true. And I still say Colombia is more near to European culture. It's very far from the Japanese culture, like extremely far. Because, like, I remember because we worked with many Colombians as well. They loved dancing, like merengue, salsa, and so on.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was very bad. They tried making me dance, and I was horrible at that. So
I'm the same. Don't worry.
it was a nightmare. They were like, okay, no, no, never again. We will never ask this guy. I'm like, I'm from Pakistan, dude. Ask me for my dance, I can do that, but this is harder than it looks, and it's very interesting though.
Yeah, yeah.
But let's let me ask you: can you share with us when you were on this break in Brazil? Give us one example or one experience, let's say, that really changed something in your life or taught you a lesson.
Um, do you mean in Brazil or in
Yeah, yeah,
general?
in Brazil, when you were on this long career break, when you were like, hey, you
Yeah,
know what, this was something I saw or I learned from someone else,
yeah,
and this is something that taught me, and I grew basically because of this experience.
yeah. I think like in terms of learning, it was like I think I did like very strategical. Yeah, I took a strategical. How we call it decision. It was like to first start with 3 months as a volunteer in a hostel in Rio de Janeiro. Like
Mm,
first I didn't travel. I just stay in Rio de Janeiro. I did the volunteering in a hostel. So it means I was yeah, I was kind of working, but I didn't receive any money back. But they were giving me the accommodation. I could stay
okay.
there,
Mm,
sleeping and everything. And I choose one neighborhood which is not so touristic in Rio. So I was not in
mm,
Copacabana, in Ipanema. I was in another area. It's called Gloria. And then
mm,
all my coworkers were Brazilian, and we were sharing the same room. Then, like during 3 months, I just had like to learn Portuguese, and yeah, they also like touched me so much about the Brazilian culture, and
mm,
I think like I learned so much during the 3 months. And then because of all I knew about how to behave, what I can do, what I cannot do, I could travel around Brazil and I could really like get in touch with the people. I could like creating connection. I was not acting as a tourist, but more as a local. And then I met
mm,
like amazing friends. So yeah, I think like this totally changed my experience in Brazil. I think like
mm,
without it, if I would go traveling like directly, I think it would have been very different. Maybe I would not speak Portuguese. I would not like make so many friends, and yeah, I would not
mm,
have to go in remote places.
mm. I
So
see.
yeah,
Interesting. Interesting. So, because now you're mentioning about language, so you learned Portuguese while you were in Brazil. So, how has that basically helped you in terms of your professional job? As in, you also mentioned briefly that it helps you talk with the partners or your collaborators in Latin America. But
yeah.
how else does it help you?
So yeah, first like my Portuguese. Yeah, first we can call like. Do you understand if I said portuñol? Like it's a mix. Like portuñol, it's like the mix of Portuguese
Mm,
and Spanish. It's called español. So
mm,
the mix of it, it's portuñol, and it's like because like first I speak Spanish,
mm,
then when I like Spanish and Portuguese, they are quite similar.
mm,
So I just like it's basically I use my Spanish and I put like some word in Portuguese and maybe sometimes some word in French too. And then yeah, I'm speaking a mixed, but yeah, it's totally like everyone can understand me. I can understand everything, so it's working.
mm,
But like professionally, I'm not using Portuguese.
mm,
I hope I could use it more, but in my company now in Tourlane, we speak in English with all my colleagues and yeah, with my suppliers in Spanish. And in fact, my supplier in Brazil, she's Franco-Brazilian. So she also has French as a mother tongue.
Mm,
So it makes no sense to speak Portuguese. But but anyway, like in the company, I think I could connect more with some people from other departments. I think, yeah, because of the language. Like I have a super friend, she's Brazilian, and I think
mm,
this is because we can speak the same language because like we also have the same references, the same music. We have stories to share about Carnival, about yeah, like we can
mm,
understand each other. So I think, and the same from like with other people from other department that comes from other country in Latin America. And I think like indirectly it can helps me also professionally because I can have a better overview of the company. And yeah, in some cases, so I can go directly to them if I have any problem or any request about their department. So I
mm,
think that my Portuguese, at least, it doesn't help me directly, but indirectly, yeah, definitely.
mm-hmm. So, So, with such diverse roles from product management in travel and sales specialist to operations and administration or administrative management, how do you use these skills to optimize the travel for a customer? Because not all customers are the same, right? Every customer can have different requirements. So, how do you use everything that you have learned or gained towards catering customers?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. First, I've been lucky to work in like very different jobs in the travel industry. So, it helps a lot to understand the entire planning process. So yeah, I have the opportunity to experience all aspects of making a trip happen within a
Mm,
travel agency. So it includes going into the field during the business trip, meeting with providers, like participating in activity, checking hotels. Um, yeah, then I've also been creating travel products. So there's also been negotiating rates, understanding the needs and expectation of the clients, and I also been in like selling those products. So
mm,
also directly in contact with the client, and yeah, until like the very end of the process, handling all the booking details, preparing the travel documents, and provide some support to the client when they are
mm,
like in the country, in the destination. This is from one side, and on the other side, I've also been in communication with both client and providers. So I think like it means like I can understand the need of the client, and I can understand also like logistically what's possible, because sometimes we have some clients, yeah, they have crazy ideas, like amazing ideas, but it's not possible. We don't have provider, or this not exist on the country, or for safety reasons we cannot provide it.
mm.
um, so yeah, I think like all those experiences have given me like a multifaceted skill set, and yeah, it make it easy for me now to understand each part of the process, and like to understand better the client. Mostly like,
Mm.
as I said, like I've always worked with the French speaking market, so I cannot understand any kind of client, only like mostly French, Swiss, and Belgium. And I think they are very different from other kind of clients. So yeah, it's super
I see.
specified.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine because, for example, if you will try to sell to a Pakistani customer, I would be okay with traveling to tropical, but I would more like to see Europe because the weather is colder here because we are used to summers, So I'm like, okay, I live the whole year in summers. I want to explore Europe to feel the cold weather,
Yeah,
see the snow because that's a big thing. If you're
yeah,
from Pakistan or India, you might have never seen snow in your life.
Yeah,
So it's like a dream for a lot of people who want to travel to Europe. And we want to see the snow.
yeah, yeah.
But interesting. That's very interesting. And now, because in your role, I feel there is a tech side as well involved. So, how do you think technological tools like a CRM system or any other software that you have used played a role in building a good or a better travel for your customer?
Yeah. Um, yeah, technology is so important. Like in
Hmm.
all the company I've worked, we were all in online agency. So
Okay.
yeah, we need to be performant technologically because otherwise we don't exist. Um, but yeah, there were different kind of companies also. Like in Costa Rica and Colombia, it was more family run company. So there are less resources, but yeah, proportionally to the volume of the company, the
Hmm.
technology part was amazing.
Okay.
Um, like they developed their own CRM software,
Hmm.
and like we were a small team. Like in Costa Rica, we were maybe 10 people, but from the 10 people, we had one developer, and he was sitting next to us, so any requirement, he could do it like right away. And like it was always like we were always asking, like, hey, can we do it? And he was always like, yeah, of course we can do it. And yeah, so there the CRM was very helpful, mostly for us to work, like for us to be quicker, to be able to quote quicker, like to have all the product, all the information, what's possible to do or not, and to send an offer with all the picture, all the description, like yeah,
Hmm.
basically like to be quicker. Um, yeah, then like for the customer, it was more about the web page, but yeah, in the first company, yeah, basically it was more like in the professional side. But now, like Tourlane is a travel tech,
Hmm.
so there, like the technology has like it's very important. It has very crucial roles, and yeah, first the customer, of course, they have the website, but also an app. So yeah, that's now it's basic for all the travel
Hmm.
agency. Um, but like yeah, technologically there are so many stuff. I was amazed. Just like one example,
Hmm.
um, there is something called live availability. So it means like we as professional, we are able to see in real time which hotels are available. And
Okay.
this amazed me so much because I spent hours and I think in total weeks or months in my life, um, calling hotel one per
Hmm.
one to know if they had the availability for my clients for the travel dates. Like I think like yeah, 40% of my work in Costa Rica was to call hotels and to check, hey, would you have some room available for this date?
Hmm.
And now I can see like you can have it like all like directly. This is amazing. And this like in very soon future, the
Hmm.
client also will have access to it, and like they will be able to plan like a trip, not only like to book some rooms or some hotel, they can already do it with bookings, or but then like to plan the whole trip with all kind of services like in just some clicks. Like
Hmm. Interesting.
yeah.
That's really cool. Hmm. Yeah,
It
I
sounds
think.
promising. Like we'll
Hmm.
see then like there are, of course there are some, it will take time for some destination. For example, I'm working for Latin America, and like the kind of provider I like the most, they are like for example for accommodation, they are very small hotels, sometimes owned by a family, or yeah, like very small structure
Hmm.
or eco lodge, and they don't have the technology to be connected to our systems. So normally, like they just have like a book, they have a pen, and then they check like, yeah, let's see, on Monday we have availability, like this room now it's done. So yeah, it will take time still for some destination, but there are other destination and like for some kind of provider, because of course like big resorts, they are all connected already.
I mean, that's true. Technology makes life easy in some places. But from Costa Rica, you saw the guy with the paper and diary. And I still know someone who's doing it in 2023,
Yeah, yeah,
writing their availability down.
yeah. But also like there are some places they don't have good internet. Like
Mm,
for example, like I speak about my market, like French markets, we love to go to remote places, but
mm,
sometimes it means no internet, no Wi-Fi, and yeah, you cannot expect like hotels working from there, like to have all the connectivity we wish
mm,
would have. Like so, it's also part of the deal. Yeah, we want to go there. It's very exceptional. Like an amazing experience, but yeah, like then to work, like we have to, yeah, to be a bit more patient.
mm.
Yeah.
Interesting. And how have you seen, because the roles and challenges also evolve with the passage of time. So from Costa Rica to Berlin, how did you see that your challenges and role was evolving with the involvement of technology or in general? What do you feel? Yes. So from Costa Rica to Berlin,
Yeah.
how have you seen your role, the travel product manager role, and the challenges? Because you always have problems, before you said that you were always calling people up, hey, do you have a room available? But now it's available live, you don't need to call someone.
Yeah.
But now there are newer challenges,
Yeah.
right? So how do you think that has evolved with the passage of time?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think like now, like there are so many because of internet, like we have all the information also online. There are so many competition. Like
Mm,
we can all check online, what can I do there, what's possible, how to go from there to there. We can all book directly, so this is a big challenge, but I
mm,
think like the travel agency still has the experts of the field.
mm,
Like this is not because something is sold on the internet that it's something good.
mm,
So yeah, and I think like a lot of the work also, the job itself changed a lot, especially after pandemics, because also of remote work, like people can work from everywhere, and like people are really expert. They know what's happening there. They know what to see. They have like a lot of very personalized tips.
mm,
So I think it's getting more and more personalized. Before, like in some decades ago, like everyone would have the same experience. Like
mm,
everyone going in Costa Rica will do the same tour. Everyone going in Brazil will go in Rio de Janeiro, Copacabana, and yeah, do the same stuff exactly. Now, like we have like a lot of offer, and we can very like match with what the clients want, what the traveler want. Like you want nature, okay, I can do it. You want explore the city, I can do it. You want to meet with the locals, you want like a very authentic experience. Like
mm,
we know the places, like we went there, like and this, yeah, I think like some years, maybe decades ago, um, travel agency, it was like mostly someone in like a physical agency, like with a book and trying to sell something who was written there, and like, yeah, trying to say, yeah, this is the price. Look at the picture. Do you like
mm.
it? No? Okay. And now, yeah, there's like so many possibilities, and that's an exciting part. Like it's more
Interesting.
creative, I think, more creative
Mm.
job now.
Yeah, but especially with the competition also, right?
Yeah, yeah, you always have to, yeah, to have the new ID, like to have like the new stuff you can do, like to have like the very, like, and to maintain like very good relationship with your
Mm,
suppliers, because sometimes like it's difficult to have availability for such an hotel because it's very small, and people like it because they're very good at welcoming people and everything. But then like it's your role also like to have very good relationship with them,
mm,
so you're sure like they will accept your clients, and like they are mostly not available online.
mm.
So yeah.
Interesting. I see. No, I'm having a lot of fun discussing this, and these are things that we need to talk about. But recently, we just passed through a pandemic, unfortunately, COVID-19 that hurt the travel industry a lot. Like I saw that if businesses were closed, especially travel businesses, some of them like completely out, so they closed. But now we are now and we are in a stage which is the post-pandemic. We are now through the pandemic, but we are still seeing struggles in the industry. So, what do you think are going to be some of like how do you see the future of travel? Do you see now that we are recovering from the COVID itself, and more and more people are traveling like they used to, or is it still like low? No, it's still like recovering and still needs time for people to accept that okay, we can travel and it's okay.
I think like now people like they want to travel more. There is something called like revenge travel, because we could not travel for time and we were like locked down at home, and like yeah, I think like most of us we just dream of going anywhere else. Like
Mm,
so yeah, I think like a lot of people since pandemic, like of course not everyone, but the one who can at least are trying to travel more. And I think it changed a lot because also of remote work. Now people travel for longer. So, and also because of some like ecological concern, like I will not take a plane just to go in holiday 1 week. If I take the plane, at least I will enjoy some month there. And like since I
mm,
cannot take so many holidays, I will work half of the time from there. And then also like it allows to meet the locals, to have like a very like more authentic experience. So yeah,
mm,
I think like yeah, the tourism was like very impacted by the pandemic. Like it was awful for for a lot of destination. Like we've lost a lot of hotels, a lot of activities. They had to change. They had to find other job because they couldn't have any revenue.
mm,
um but I think like now like it's taking another path, and like at another like velocity, can we say it?
mm,
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if I think or I hope we are like travelers are more conscious now, more responsible.
mm.
Yeah.
That's true. Like I love to travel. I'm not. I cannot do adventure travel because that's hard for me. But
Okay.
I love to travel and experience culture. And whenever I'm traveling, I'm like, okay, how can I learn about this country? Like what can I
Mhm.
learn and what can I utilize for myself personally to grow? Like
Yeah.
that's one of the things I always look for when I'm traveling.
Yeah. And
Now, yes.
no, sorry. No, I think like that's why also like with slot, like we used to travel like very quickly. Like I have 2 weeks, and like every 2 days I will change city so I can see like most of it. And now I think like with like people are more into slow tourism. So okay, I have 2 weeks, but I will stay in the same city or in the same place so I can
Mhm.
really experience. And like it's not only about me exploring everything and see
Mhm.
as much as I can and taking as much picture as I can. It's also like me enjoying the place. Like
Mhm.
be in the nature, and yeah, spend the day just in the nature, like not doing so much, but just like connecting also with yourself, with the nature. So yeah.
That's true. And that's true. I mean, connecting with nature and also giving time like off from everything, like
Yeah.
leaving your laptop, because we have too much screen time. Like if whenever you're on holiday, like you take your phone out and start recording, taking pictures, and then you're like, okay, why was I on holiday if I just want to take pictures?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I can download pictures from the internet all the time.
Exactly.
I
And like
mean,
I would be like better quality.
exactly. I mean, the only picture I take is like if I'm at a famous place or something, or a memory that I want to take, I will just take a selfie and then I'm like, okay, cool. I'm
Yeah.
not taking more pictures, because I
Yeah.
see a lot of people, what they do is like, if they're at concerts or traveling, they're like trying to record every single thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yes, take memories, but also enjoy the thing. You spent a lot of money to go there. Like, why don't you try to enjoy it to a maximum? Because the thing, the memories stay in your mind first and your heart. So you
Yeah.
will remember those forever. So,
Yeah.
so
That's right.
now we are coming towards an end, because this is a question I always get. Like, a lot of people are asking me, hey, Majid, well, whoever is your next guest, do ask them that how can we join their industry, like how can we become someone, for example, last time I had a business intelligence product manager. Now I'm talking with you, who's also a product manager, but a travel product manager, which is a completely different role from a digital product manager. How do you feel if someone wants to go into this field of becoming a experience manager or a digital product manager, a travel product manager? What career path, or how should they join the movement?
Okay. Yeah. So, I, because I had the question sometimes, and some people were like considering to start again to study, like
Mm,
first, like yeah, more than any academic education, like the most important is first, like you have to be very passionate about the
mm,
sector. Like this is the criteria number one. In most of the job offers in tourism, they don't ask you like to have any diploma in tourism. They ask you like, what's your experience? What did you do until now?
mm,
Well, if it's like for someone like who is going like to study, of course it makes sense. Like if they already have the idea to work in tourism, it makes sense to study tourism. But I would recommend not to study only tourism,
mm,
but like something like maybe tourism connected to management, or yeah, tourism connected to marketing, something a bit wider, because tourism is something, but you need other skills. Not like first you need to be passionate, but then you
mm,
also need other skills to have like a specific job. Um, and then what can I like? Yeah, enjoy as much as possible traveling. Try to have like as much experiences as you can. Like yeah, travel agency, like different jobs in hotel, like try to have like a vision of the sector in globality, because it's all connected, and like to offer the best experience you need to know like how it's all connected. You need to
mm,
know the provider, to know like the client, everything. So
mm,
yeah, as much experiences can be a plus, of course. And at least like um the last tips, like don't do it for money.
mm,
If you want to join the tourism industry, is really by passion. We know that yeah, in comparison with other industry, maybe the salaries are not as high, but also I think like it's a very a luxury to work in such industry, like to
mm,
wake up every day thinking like, wow, I will do what I really like. I will do like, sometimes it doesn't feel like a job. It feels like, yeah, I'm giving tips to people who want to visit my favorite country. Like it's amazing,
mm.
and I'm getting paid for that. So yeah.
I see. I see. That's cool. Uh, Interesting. That was valuable advice because a lot of times when I was also working in travel, people were like, "Hey, Majid, how did you start working in travel?" So what you mentioned is very critical. That don't just do a degree, but be passionate about whatever you want to pursue.
Yeah.
And that brings us towards the end. And it has been very incredible and it's been very insightful, the whole discussion, Charlie. And I thank you for your sharing your experience and expertise with us. And as a closing remark, would you like to say something for the audience?
Yeah, I want to say something first to you. Like, thank you a lot again for the invitation.
You're welcome.
It was a lot of fun, and yeah, I hope I could bring some valuable insights for yeah anyone who was interested in tourism. And yeah, Majid, I wish you a lot of success with this podcast project. And yeah, I find this initiative very amazing. So yeah, I wish you all the best, and I'm waiting to hear more fantastic episodes.
Yes, we have some really cool stuff coming up.
I know.
So, for example, this one. So, to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to the executives today. If you found this episode valuable and knowledgeable, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your network. Until next time, this is Majid signing off.